Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another MedFit Education Foundation webinar. Today we have marketing strategies that stick with Carly Taylor and Christine Conti. Let's meet our presenters for the day, and then I'll turn it over to them. So Carly Taylor, she's a 20-plus year industry veteran. She went from group exercise instructor and personal trainer, and her love of teaching drove her to leave the corporate office for the gym floor. She completed her 200-hour RYT training, as well as over 500 additional hours of yoga training, including various trauma-sensitive courses. She is the co-founder and creator of Bar Flow, through which she certifies fitness professionals around the globe. She was a top female presenter at the Mania conferences in 2017 and 18, and one of the 5 best fitness trainers in Albany, New York area in 2019. And she is co-author with Christine of MedFit Classroom's Eating Disorders, What Professionals Need to Know. And our other presenter is Christine Conti. She's also an over 20-year fitness industry veteran, and recently was named, like 2 weeks ago, was named the 2023 Idea Fitness Instructor of the Year. She's CEO of Conti Fitness and Wellness. She's the author of 3 different courses for us, the Arthritis Fitness Specialist, and she's co-author of the Orthopedic Fitness Specialist, and then she, of course, did the Eating Disorders course with Carly. She's the creator of the Let's Face It Together Facial Fitness and Rehabilitation Program, and she is co-host of the Two Fit Crazies and a Microphone podcast, and author of the book Split Second Courage, What If Your Fears Were the Key to Your Dreams. Now, Carly's getting married this weekend, and Christine, I think, still having an after party from her award a couple of weeks ago. So we've got to get right to this because these ladies are busy. So we're going to turn it over to them and let them share their content with you.
Thank you. I don't know about after party. I don't even know if I don't even know if I had a chance to party yet about that. But can you see the screen is my first question to everybody?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, perfect. So I know that Jonathan, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and I am so excited today to be here with one of my very good friends and co-author and partner in crime and all of the things, the amazing Carly Taylor. And today we are here to talk about something that I'd like to say we do every single day. That is something that drives almost every single one of our decisions that we make, whether it be fitness related or related to business decisions or ROI or marketing. And that's what we're talking about today, the strategies that stick. This is about how do you grow your brand? Who are you? How do you get that out to an audience? And who is your audience? And where do we start? And I'm going to kind of start us off today. And Carly and I are going to go back and forth. We've done a lot of presenting together. So you will see us kind of play off each other a little bit today. And of course, throughout this webinar, if you are on here live and you do have a question or just some idea comes to mind that you want us to discuss, please drop it into that chat because we will have some time at the end to answer some more specific questions. And of course, we'll give you our info so you can reach out to us as well. So with that said, let's just go over this quickly. What the heck are we doing? What is happening today? And it goes a little something like this. Marketing strategies, what does it do? Utilize your resources to deliver a sales message to the target audience. Time, market research, and information to create. And therefore, we've got to understand the why and how behind strategies, because let's face it, time is money. And if we're spending time doing the wrong thing or marketing to the wrong people, we're wasting our time. And that's a problem. So we want to move forward and we want to do it in a way that makes sense. So I'm going to say this right now, Carly, you can back me up here. I am not an expert on every single little detail when it comes to marketing, because every single person is very different. How do you feel about that?
No, totally agree. I think it's overwhelming to try to be good at everything, and it's impossible to be good at everything. So you need to choose your battles.
And I would say personally, I drive myself crazy sometimes because you try and market to everyone and you try and hit every single social media platform and every email blast and every live this and show up at this event and then speak here and be at the chamber of commerce whatever in your town, and it's just not possible to do it all.
And it's not possible to do it all well. And that's the key, to really choose your battles and decide where you're going to present yourself. And then you can present your whole self. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, because we think we need to be everywhere. We need to be at every conference. We need to be on every webinar. We need to write for every single newsletter. And it really waters us down.
So the other thing I think is really interesting that you were saying, and it always comes to mind, is when I talk to successful, let's just say well-experienced marketing or business, say they're coaches, they will always tell you something that I think is interesting, that is different than some of what we've heard before. When it comes to, let's just use social media, for example, which we'll get into later, the people that have 145,000 followers, right? Or 1 million this, don't be deceived, because they may not be on top of their marketing game. Just because you see some of these numbers sometimes doesn't necessarily mean that that's bringing in business or that's bringing in income. So there's a lot out there that I think we need to kind of take that, curtain away, move the smoke and say, what does this really mean for us? What does that mean if you have 2,000 followers and they're really engaging and they're buying your products and they're coming to your events or whatever that may be, versus 1 million people who are just lurking? And that, and I use that idea, but that idea could be kind of for anything that you do. So is it the quality over the quantity? And that's why I love this woman on the left. I will use her in any single presentation that I possibly can. Because let's talk first about the problem. And Carly, I'm going to ask you first. And I know I always love to do this. I always love to throw questions at Carly and see how she responds. But every person out there, don't tell me that you've got marketing all figured out. None of us do. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing based on the evolution of your job and of who you are. So what am I doing wrong is the question. Like, what is it? What are the biggest things right now that you've seen?
That I see people doing wrong?
That personally you've done wrong, that people are doing wrong? What is it?
I think the biggest thing is trying to be everyone to everybody. And it's in the fitness industry especially. And I know we're going to get into really dialing into who your client is, but I think that is the single best piece of advice that I ever got that I ignored for almost 2.5 years. Can I tell a story? Do I have time for that? So if you are in the fitness industry, you might know this name. It's someone who I did a mentorship with, and his team gave me advice. I did a mentorship with Mark Fisher Fitness. And if you don't know who that is, like after this, Google it and check out the marketing, because he just kills it. And it's not what you would expect for a fitness business. And they told me, this was probably in 2018, maybe, they told me to pick your client. And I said something like people in their 20s to 50s who are in fine shape, that don't need a lot of help, but really have a specific thing, something very general. That's not what I said, but something very general. And they were like, no, that your client is, for example, a 30-year-old woman who has 2 children, who likes to go to Starbucks on her way to work. And went on this whole story about who my client is. And my thought was, I'm going to lose so much business if I only market to this person. So I didn't do it. And I watched some people who did. And I immediately regretted not taking that advice earlier. Really being specific about who you market to makes you so relatable to that person, that client, that you don't need 500,000 of them. You need 50 of them. Because birds of a feather flock together, because we love cliches. So if you find one of those 50 people on social media or with a mailer, that person knows at least 5 other people who are your client. And you have touched them in a way that's so personal that they are going to share that with their whole circle. The best advice that I could give to someone is don't be Walmart, right? You go to Walmart and you can get food, you can get clothes, you can get electronics, you can get makeup, but do you get the highest quality of all those things? What do you think about that, Christine?
I have another story, but we're gonna go on, but I'm gonna piggyback off of that in a moment, because we need a plan of attack, and that is what Carly was just talking about, and a marketing strategy, right? So without a plan of attack, it's worthless, right? You're going all over the place, and you need to pay attention again to your objectives, your audience needs, and practical limitations, which we're going to get to in a little bit when we talk about knowing your worth, but like really knowing your worth, like being honest with yourself, like sitting down and having a conversation with you about what you're really worth, because sometimes we tend to underestimate our worth and sometimes we're overestimating our worth. Either one is not effective. So how do we dial that in as well? But it's about planning. How well, and we're going to get into this in a moment, how well do we know ourselves? The better you know yourself, the better you're able to market. And while some of you are sitting back right now saying, I know my business, I know what I offer, I know my product. Okay, maybe you do, but just maybe there's some things that we're missing that we can dial in. And again, when we talk about, do you own a company? Do you have people that work for you, employees? Where are your resources going? How much of it is going? Because sometimes we're working harder than we really need to be. And we really need to draw this in and say, where do we put our time? If I have X amount of hours for this person, where should they be spending their time? Because that's what's going to take you to the next level. So it's really starting at this foundational level of, first off, how about a marketing calendar? How about this? And again, we're going to go through some of the top things that you should be focusing on. But number one, if you want to start a marketing something, a campaign, whether it be in print or social media, or maybe it's even some sort of like advertisements on some sort of radio, satellite radio, print, I don't know, there's not a lot of print anymore, but get a calendar out. Number one, you want to do something? Plan, make it a part of your business model. And a business model could be my personal Christine Conti fitness business model, could be Carly's business model, but it has to be a part of that initial conversation of, hey, this is something I want to do. Put it on the calendar. Make an hour for it every day. I am going to spend an hour every day on marketing. You'd be surprised when you actually set that down and carve that time out, what you can get done. Because Monday through Friday, that's 5 hours you've just spent on marketing. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think time blocking your schedule is one of the most effective and efficient ways to build your business. And it's really hard to get into at first, but you take a look at that blank calendar page for every day and you say, from 9 to 10 in the morning, I'm going to do marketing. Whatever that means to you. Maybe it's doing a post on social media, scheduling posts for the week, but be specific in your calendar. From 10 to 11, I'm going to go through my emails, answer any inquiries. From 11 to 12, I'm going to work on a presentation or program design. But don't forget, in those time blocks, 12 to 1, self-care, whether that's meditation, go for a run, whatever it happens to be that you need to do to take care of yourself. Because if you don't schedule that in, it's the first thing to go. And once that's the first thing to go, you're not giving 100% of yourself to those other tasks. But creating a calendar, not just for your marketing, but for your day-to-day, every single day, will help you get further faster.
You know what? I'm thinking this, that there are some really great takeaways from the MLNs, the multi-level, network marketing. And over the years, really just, paying attention to some of the top sellers and marketers. And, whether or not you agree with, with some of those companies or not that are out there, they spot on nail their marketing sometimes. And there's a great takeaway that many companies do. They will set, maybe it's every day, 12 to 12:30. People from, it could be in your office, it could be people from around the world, and they'll jump on a Zoom and, hey everybody, and they'll set a timer. All right, everyone, 20 minutes, no interruptions. No one is talking to each other. They know that they're on Zoom, and it holds everyone accountable. You're not checking other email. You're not on the phone. You're not getting up. You're not. And I just thought that was such a great idea, because you can implement that into your office. You can implement that into, hey, we're all going to have a meeting today in the, in our conference room. No one's going to talk. You have 20 minutes to work. Mm-hmm. As a teacher, I used to do that with my students. All right, everyone, you have 20 minutes right now to work on this thing. Go. In 20 minutes, I'm going to stop us because we have to move on. There it is. Why are we not taking these very simple things that really do make a huge difference when it comes to time? And you know the deal. We're all guilty. I sit down sometimes, and if I don't have that time blocked, I'll be working on something, and then my cell phone goes off, and then a call goes up, and then something pops up on my email, and I'm like, I should just, and now that half an hour I just took that I should have been laser focused, I've just been distracted. And now it's been only 12 minutes I've had to work on something that I really needed that 30-minute laser focus. So,
and even if you just take a second to look at your phone, right, to look at a text, they say that it takes 9 minutes to get yourself back dialed in. Even if you just glance at your phone, it takes 9 minutes to get all the way zeroed back into what you were doing. So why aren't we setting a timer, turning our phones on Do Not Disturb, turning them on airplane mode, turning them off, and trying to focus on the things that we're doing? It sounds like such a simple thing, but how many of us do you think would panic if we said, okay, from 9 to 10 every morning, I may not touch my cell phone?
I think it's great. And the other part that we're talking about right now about keeping, keep execution of your marketing strategies on track is that, we're being very general about what you're working on, but what if every day, okay, well, on Monday, I'm going to research other media and see what they're doing. Like I said, I look at all different, multi-level networking. I look at people on social media. I follow them, and I'm like, wow, that was really good. Okay, this person is using this. and either I mental note it or I write it down. Taking some of that time, one of those days should definitely be looking at what everyone else is doing in the media. And sometimes we don't always do that, and it's almost like a free education, as opposed to throwing lots of money at maybe a business, a marketing coach. Is that something that really really makes sense for your business model? Sometimes it does make sense, but for others, what's around you that you can learn? And I would say to people that before you do maybe hire before you hire someone that's in marketing, know what you want, know what type of marketing, because someone that's really good at social media may not be really good at wording when you have to get in front of a formal company. There's many different layers, so it's really important to think about what you want and then go out and interview that person instead of just randomly saying, oh, well, they do all these different workshops and whatnot, but they're generic. Find out what you want. So I'm gonna go over to the next one. And these are our top four non-negotiables. Okay, this is where we're going. Non-negotiable. We've talked, okay, we've put our time aside already. Now we're getting serious. You see the tape? We're ripping the tape off. This is what's happening right here. And it goes a little something like this. Carly, how the heck do I identify my client? You talked already about talking to the woman from Starbucks, and I will tell you, when I was writing my book, all right, I'm an author. Okay, great. My marketing person sat me down and said, Christine, when you write, I need you to think about, like what Carly said, who is your ideal reader, right? Could be your client, could be, who are you talking to? And I did the same thing. I don't know, people that are like 20 to 80, that men and women who are looking to be inspired, whatever it was. And I quickly got shut down. And it was like, yeah, nope. I need you to really think about who. And what was interesting is I'm going to take Carly's example to the next level. Whereas, yeah, they asked me to really narrow it down to 4 different people, not groups of people, 4 actual people. So what then I needed to do was find pictures, like fictitious pictures of said people that were in my mind. And I had to take these 4 pictures that I found. It was like 2 men, 2 women, whoever they were. And I had to like paste them to the back of my laptop so that every time I wrote, I could see them, so that I could get a visual in my head of who I was writing for. And, the man who was in his 30s, who, has like a little child, who may or may not be married, who, grew up in the inner city and works really hard, I'm writing to him. I need to inspire him or get him to do something. And then I've got this woman over here who's 50, who used to be in really good shape, and she let herself go, and she's been through, a disease and whatever. I gotta get her. So you can actually see these people. So when you're developing your marketing, wow, okay, would she like this? Would she be someone that looks at this product or this place or my service and be like, yeah, I want to work with her, or I want that thing? And I just think that's really powerful, because sometimes you're missing the mark.
Yeah, playing off of that, I had to do the same type of thing with an image. I didn't get to cut out a picture though. I had to draw one, which is so not my strength, but I had to create my avatar, and I would really encourage everyone to do that. You draw a picture of a person. Mine is a stick figure. It had 2 different length arms. It was not attractive, but I got the idea of what this person was. And then in bubbles all around it, you wrote qualities of this person, whether it was what they liked, what they didn't like, where they lived, what their education was, as many possible details as you could think of, and then really dial in so you feel like you know this person. Because what's the difference between when you're talking to a stranger on the street versus when you're talking to someone who you know very well? When you're talking to someone who you know very well, you're warmer, right? You sound more genuine, you're more relatable because you know this person. Imagine if you came off like that every time you did a social media marketing video. Every time you were on a commercial on, television or on the radio. Imagine if you sounded that genuine. The only way to sound that genuine is to identify very specifically with the person that you're talking to. And I think that's a mark that we miss because of fear, right? And it's what happened to me. I was afraid that if I spoke specifically to the 40-year-old woman who was average income, who had dealt with eating disorders or disordered eating for most of her life and had never faced it, who was interested in fitness but didn't love it, if I just spoke to her, then no one else would be interested in what I was saying. So I didn't do it until maybe, 3 years ago, which is when I started to actually do it, and everything changed. Everything changed because not only did I have people asking me questions and following me, but I had engagement. And I had people all of a sudden that were all there for the free advice, right? Because when you give free advice, everybody's there for the free advice. But all of a sudden, people willing to pay for the advice and not the lower level $9 a month subscription pay for the advice. So when you really target your client, you don't need 500,000.
And it's quality. And now you've developed a relationship, which, when you think about putting money into marketing, that what are the best businesses are referrals. And it's when someone else says, wow, these people are amazing. And that's really what we want to develop here with your ideal client. Your ideal client is going to be your siren. They're going to be the ones that are out there talking you up, that are giving referrals. And again, that is kind of the biggest piece of advice when it comes to identifying your specific client and how that is going to really excel what you're already doing. Now, we're going on because after we have talked about the client, and again, to recap, find that avatar, find that picture. If you've never done that exercise, please do it. If you take anything away from this webinar, let that be one of them, right? Find that picture, talk to that person, and make sure your marketing is in line with that person. And that goes for pictures, that goes for whether you're using slang, right? Would that person be open and accepting to that, or would it be a turnoff? So these are really important things to think about. Right down to the colors. If you have people in your marketing, right down to the colors of, or using reds and bolds and strong colors, or soft and neutrals. It matters. It does matter. This is a lot of psychology as well, which is a whole nother different webinar with the psychology of marketing. But the other thing is the client goal. And with that avatar that you have, part of that exercise as we go forward is pain points. And while this sounds like, it sounds like maybe this is not the warm and fuzzy thing you wanted to hear, it's something that you also need to do. It's about solving problems. Here's the problem, here's the solution. Everything you do, this is the client, they have a problem, and we're offering a solution. We need to figure out their pain point. And when I was a teacher, I loved teaching about pathos. Was one of my favorite things. I would sit my kids down and say, I need you to come up with an advertisement for, and I would hold up, some sort of product. It could be a pencil, I need you to come up with an advertisement of why I should buy this pencil using pathos. Now, if you don't know what pathos is, that is an appeal to the emotion. And if you don't know what that is, go ahead and watch one of those commercials on TV where they show all of the dogs and the animals starving, right? Playing what, Sarah McLachlan, right? I know, it's so awful.
Can't. Nope.
So it's something, I mean, right now you'll even see a lot of commercials. I'm going to throw it out here. St. Jude is one of them. They have lots of commercials right now showing children that have disabilities, deformities. And they're saying, you know, we need your help, we need your money. They're asking for money is what they're asking for. But they're tugging at your heartstrings. And who are they tugging at? Parents, grandparents. That is their demographic. That's their avatar. We want people that have extra income, right? They have money, so they're older, and they probably have kids, so they can relate to growing up and maybe having, you know, going through, maybe if they've had a child that has any sort of developmental disability, anything. They're tugging at your heartstrings. Just like when you see those commercials about the pets. Every person that has a pet is like, ah, right? That's their pain point. They don't want anything to happen to a kid, a pet. That's their marketing. So what is the pain point of your client?
Anytime you have a client in the fitness world, right, and you sit down with them and you go over their goals, you do the whole SMART goal thing. You say to them, losing weight's not a real goal. How much weight? How much time? You have to really flesh out the goals. This is the same idea. You need to understand, if pain point freaks you out, their why. Why? Why did they come to you? Why are they there? Because like that, you know, making an advertisement for a pencil, right? If you're advertising a pencil to someone whose pain point is trying to keep their window open that keeps falling closed, and you keep advertising how well this pencil writes, you're not going to sell them the pencil. But if you demonstrate that the pencil is really strong and it can hold things up, then guess what? You just sold that pencil to the person who's looking to prop open a window. I know that sounds odd, but if you really think about it, you need to sell to them what they need, not what you want them to need.
Oh my goodness. The other thing with pain point, by the way, is it doesn't have to be actual pain, right? that is, I always like to point that out, that their pain point could just be, you know, I'm frustrated with, you know, or this is an easier way I can save time with, because I don't have time. So whatever that may be, whatever it is your product or what you're selling to someone is doing, that would be the pain point. So again, it doesn't have to be pain, but it's just something that's going to maybe make their life easier, and think about making them feel better.
The pain point of my client is they feel uncomfortable in their own skin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go on to this. We have a couple more, and I like to think of this as the domino effect, right? So specificity matters. Like, we can tell you all of these things, but there is no Band-Aid that covers all of this. There is no do this and this will work for you. Just like in fitness, there is no specific program that we can say, hey, do this, just do this, which is why, you know, we're with MedFit promoting all of these specialization courses for special populations to work with them. Well, the same thing is with marketing. You want it to stick? We need to do some research. And we talked about the goals, we talked about your product, we talked about the specific person. So Carly, create me some value.
Well, if my client, my avatar was, let's say, between the ages of 65 and 70, am I going to dump hours of my day into social media marketing? Does that demographic of person really pay attention? Maybe they're on Facebook to see pictures of their grandkids, but are they on Instagram? Are they on Twitter? Did they download Threads already? Probably not. So if we're really focused in on who our client is and what they need, the next step is to figure out where their attention is. Because wherever their attention is where we need to go. We're not going to pull that 70-year-old woman's attention to Instagram. Where is her attention and how do we get ourselves there? And I think that's something where people really miss the mark.
So I love the idea of creating value. And this is something, if you haven't yet done this, and like I said, I could always be better. I think all of us could always be better at certain things, but when we market, are you just going out there with your hand out? And I think this is something that, you know, throughout my career of business, of English, of fitness, of creating companies, and Carly and I both have a background in you know, really running businesses, and it's creating value. So instead of going out to a client or with your marketing idea, give me money. If you give me money, I'll, and I like to tell this story, is that creating value really matters, whether it be social media or any other marketing platform. And back when I left my teaching career and decided, I saw a need in the fitness industry. And one of the needs I saw was that people didn't have money to market. I saw these great businesses, these people with these amazing ideas, but no way to get them out there. And I thought to myself, you know what? What if I started a podcast where I could feature these people, like people from all over the world? It's pretty much free to me, except I'm donating some of my time to create this. But what if we could feature them and get their word out? And it would give me an excuse to touch base with these people and say, hey, my name's Christine. I would love to feature you on I would love to interview you on my podcast. And I would love for you to talk about what you do. And in turn, I'm going to put that out to the world on all the, you know, podcast platforms. And then I'll give you that, you know, I'll give you the copy of the show. You can promote it on your platforms as well. And you can use it for your own marketing. And we'll put it up on our website. It changed my life, because no longer would I be marketing to someone and say, hi, I will talk to you, but you need to pay me money. This is my thing, but there was none of that. It was, let me provide you with value. Hi, I would love to feature you. Wow, okay, so I'm getting your brand out. I would love to feature you. So you're helping me because you're now a guest on my show. And if you're excited, you're going to promote that on your end as well. So now we're combining networks. We're getting the marketing message out there even farther, and it doesn't really cost anything. So one of the things that I really want you to think about is, how can you create value for other people? Sometimes on social media, people will, you know, do tips. Hey, you know what? I know that Carly works a lot with posture. So if she's on social media, maybe she's not promoting her business every day or classes, but she's giving a tip about posture, where someone sees that and they're like, wow, that's really cool. I'll follow her, or wonder what else. And they'll scroll down and say, oh, wow, she teaches classes. Oh, she does some, it catches you. You go down that rabbit hole because now she just provided me value about fixing my posture. So it's hard to, you know, and those are just two examples, but do not underestimate the power of creating value for other people, because that can change the whole trajectory of who you are reaching. And again, maybe I am, like Carly said, maybe I'm reaching that woman who, you know, maybe she works out, maybe she doesn't, she goes to Starbucks, this and that. But if I gave her just a little bit of value, is she going to be more invested? And the answer is always yes.
And it's funny because you'll take other courses, I'm sure, and you've probably heard before, don't give away your product for free. Don't give away for free. It takes away value. It's the exact opposite. We're not telling you to open the vault and let people into every single thing. But if you drop a little hint here and there, a little piece of information that people can take with them into their lives that makes their lives better, they're going to come back for more. They're going to talk about you. They're going to refer people to you. And that person that took that free posture tip may not be able to afford my services. She might not, but she might have 3 friends who can. And because I gave her that free postural advice, she's going to refer those people to me as though she is already my client.
See, the elevated price point is what Carly's referring to right now. And there comes a time where you have to set a price point. Okay, you have to set a price point. And when you do give away tips, that's great. But also sitting back and realizing that it's okay, because not everyone is your client. Not everyone is your woman that goes to Starbucks. Not everyone is that 30-year-old man that's divorced with the kid. And that's okay. And it takes a really long time to realize. And sometimes you're like, I'm missing out on money. I'm missing out on deals. And again, it is the opposite. But I do have to say this. You have to be consistent.
Yeah.
It can't be well, I dropped a hint twice a month. I don't understand why this isn't working. It's consistency. We talked about the calendar first. That calendar has to be set. When I started podcasting, I podcast 1 podcast a week for the past 6 years. And guess what? Certain weeks, yeah, maybe you had something going on, so you do an extra one a different week and you save it. So there's ways to do this. Like, there's ways to drip marketing. And when I talk about podcasting, that's a free way to get marketing, right? Strategies that stick. Podcasts don't go away. They're there, right? You've got links. You can send people information and it's free. How often do I get solicited to bring guests on my show? Every day. And if you haven't thought about this as a marketing strategy, please do. So where it says limit the grind, there's many of us are just trying to do it all. And when we try and do it all, and I'm guilty sometimes, that's when it's not going to work. So let's go to our 4th. Now that we have laser focused, right? We know our product, we know who we're going after. Oh, this is it. Know
So
your
hard.
worth and be honest. Carly, what do you mean? Tell me about being honest.
It's so hard, first of all, to know your worth and not feel self-conscious about it, right? And not feel guilty that, Mrs. Jones can't afford to train with me. That was a huge barrier for me. I would be like, well, I charge X, but I can give you a discount. And every single time you do that, you devalue yourself because you don't believe in your own worth. And that takes time. It takes work to know your worth, but write down 5 things that you offer. Write it down, like now, 5 things that you offer to your clients. And then when you're like, okay, I can do 5, do 5 more, and do 5 more, and do 5 more, until you look at that piece of paper and you're like, wow, I am worth that ticket price. And if you really are honest with yourself and you look down and you say, I don't feel like I'm giving my best because of X, Y, and Z, then that's when you step back and you look at how you can give your best. Because yes, we're telling you to elevate your price point, but we're not telling you to inflate it. There's a difference. There's a difference. In order to elevate it, you need to be worth that. each one of us could just raise our prices by 15% every year and do nothing different. But are we really doing what we've set out to do, which in this industry is change lives? Are we doing that just by inflating our prices? Or are we really increasing our worth? And how do you increase your worth? You do things like this. You educate yourself. You take courses, you sit through webinars and seminars, you go to conferences, you read books, you get more certifications, you get education. You take care of yourself.
There's great advice that over the years, if you can surround yourself with people that have been in your industry, whatever your specific niche is, those are the people you need to reach out to. And when we talk about your worth, about, you know, inflating it and whatnot, is that what are other people charging? You can go online right now, and I'll talk about, you know, different groups or different, you know, masterminds or business coaching or marketing coaching. And if you are a celebrity, right, you can charge whatever you want. Pretty much people will pay for, I don't know, you just sit there. Most of us, I would say, are not celebrities, okay? Which means that our resume matters. And one thing I love to, this always bothers me, and I will say it, that sometimes there's a lot of people charging a lot of money out there, and they don't have the resumes, if you really look, to back it up. They don't. Speakers out there making tons and tons and tons of money speaking events, and you may be a better speaker with a better story and more inspirational. But what are we missing? Our marketing, our consistency. So you may be worth a heck of a lot, but when you first start out, you may not have the experience to charge that. And for someone starting out in a brand new business, or you're, you know, people that are just out of college, sometimes you don't have the resume or the experience to do it, which means you need to turn to people that have been in the industry or whatever your vocation is for a certain amount of time, and ask them, what are you charging? What are you offering? What exactly, you know, do you provide for your clients, so that you can kind of be in that realm. And yeah, it is a turnoff if you are way expensive, if you can't back it up. And again, when you set your prices too low, and I'm sure that many of you are in the same boat that Carly and I are at, where people come to you and you care about them, the pathos, right? You got that emotion with it, and they're like, I just can't afford it. And you're like, well, what if I did this? Or we'll barter for this. And you have to step back. This is your profession. There's a lot of us that are giving things away, and we cannot. But the difference is giving away tips and giving away little things is not the same as dropping your prices drastically. Constantly having, this is my price, but it's always 60% off. No, that's your worth. And guess what? This is your profession and this is your business. And I have this great, great sweatshirt that says, if I'm too much, go find less. And I know I say that kind of like joking, but I'm not. If it's too much, whether it's, you know, qualifications or personality or you know, cost, then you need to find less, because I'm not your girl. I am not your person, and that's okay. And that is something that Carly said about knowing your worth, knowing your product, knowing what you're offering, being so unbelievably confident that you are going to change someone's life with whatever it is you have. That pencil will make their life that much better, that it's worth it. That pencil's worth $10, because here's all the things it's going to do. And remember, when we're marketing, you're not just selling a product. It's not just a product. You're selling your story. You're creating the story of your business and your brand, just like you're creating the story of that avatar that you are talking to. Convince that person, that woman who goes to Starbucks, that by coming to your facility, using your product, is going to make their life better, is going to improve their health in the long run, is going to make them a better spouse, friend, mother, worker, whatever. That is going to be the key to marketing, not just a flashy sign or a picture. It's the bigger picture of that story. So, Carly, this is one of your favorite pictures that needed to go on here, because this slide is something, the whole idea of intent versus impact. Carly and I talk a lot about this together when we talk about conversations about fitness and nutrition and disordered eating and different perspectives in the fitness industry and beyond. And one of them is intent versus impact when we are marketing. And Carly, I'm gonna let you take this away because this is your favorite picture.
It doesn't matter what you mean when you say something, if someone takes it differently. So before you put words out there, really sit and try to figure out how someone might interpret them. And if there is a way that someone will take it offensively, then come up with different words. And some people stand so strongly behind, like, no, this is what I meant. But if you look at that picture, it's all about perspective, right? I'm looking from one direction, someone's looking from another direction at the same exact thing. And they're seeing something completely different. And if you do say something in your marketing, and we talk about this all of the time, say something in your speaking, in your marketing, and someone does get upset and offended and comes back and says something to you, what do? You own it. You do not come back and say, oh, but I meant, that's not how I meant it. Oh, I didn't intend. You say, oh, I'm sorry. And that's it. And that will gain respect. And the other thing you can do is say, I'm sorry. How could I have said that better? If you say that to someone who complains to you, to someone who reaches out to your customer service email on your website, and you say, I'm so sorry. How could I have done that better? I mean, I would love to see the look on their face when they read that email. So nobody does that. But even if you offended them, upset them, what is that going to do? That's going to make them a fan. They might not be your client, but they're going to tell everybody they know, you know what happened? I was so upset with this person for saying something, and I approached them and they asked for advice on how to be better. Wow.
So we want to share this with you because when it comes to marketing, there's a lot of sensitive topics out there right now, from the way that we represent people, right? The pictures that we use, the body images that we use. And again, when we're thinking about different, the whole she, he, it, they, them, and I think it's really important that we're speaking to the world in an unbiased way. So I really think, that whole idea of inclusion with intent versus impact. Now I understand we talked about specific clients, right? Specific people that you're talking to. However, just be aware that just because you're talking to the woman that, goes to Starbucks every day and, whatever it is, that we're not assuming, right? We're not assuming anything about her. We're not assuming that she wants to gain weight or lose weight, or assuming that she loves doing a certain thing. But just the fact that we're being positive and that whatever marketing we're using is something that is uplifting. We don't want to be slandering, and we don't want to be degrading. There's
Yeah,
a
we don't want
lot,
to shame people.
right, and shaming. And there's a lot of things in the industry right now that are shaming. If you don't look a certain way, if you don't act a certain way, if you don't be a certain type of person, look at your marketing and make sure that by what you're not saying isn't implying something else. Kind of a big deal. That's all. So the last couple things before we end for today, obviously we have to address social media, which is something that most of us need to be doing. This is a form of marketing. It's free. It's important. It can be reposted. It can be something you do once a week and plan when it comes out. There is nothing more powerful than you're asking for help with social media. Ask for help, especially if you don't have a lot of time. I know that my secret is that sometimes I will ask the amazing teenagers in life that I know. I will hire them. They work cheap. Sometimes they work for food. But again, having someone help you with your social media is really important, just to navigate, just to find out. Being selective, Carly already talked about this. What are your ages? What platforms are they on? Most younger folk are not on Facebook anymore. Okay, so you need to be on what? Instagram. You need to be on maybe
TikTok.
Threads is the new one that's coming out now. But what do you want to do? How does it affect your business? Ask yourself. Is it something that is highly followed? Do you have groups? Do you have challenges? Are you being interactive? Are you positive on there? It comes down to this. What I want you to take a look at is what's the best way to approach asking others to promote you? Is it through social media? Maybe, but think about what you want accomplished when you post is the other one. Is it just for people to see you? Is it just for people to get an idea of that, that trust that you're human? Are you giving tips? Are you putting out a flyer? Are you having an event? Is there a coupon or something? What are you using it for? Sit back, think about it, because there's no need to spend an extra 2 hours on social media if it is not going to produce a call to action. You're getting eyeballs on it, great. Then we should be having some sort of call to action. And if it's not you that's answering questions on there, then you need to find someone to do it for you so that your algorithms are up, so that it shows more for people that are actually looking at your posts. So there's that. So Carly, call to action before we end today?
Start with a calendar. Buy one. Get a blank one and start. Start time blocking. Start setting time frames, setting milestones, things to accomplish. Draw your avatar. Write down all of the things, all of their characteristics. Understand who you're marketing to, what they're trying to accomplish, and how you're going to reach them. And really honestly understand what your value is.
I love it. By the way, invest in yourself. Do it. Make sure that if you do not know some of this, ask people that do. And when we talk about asking people that do, this is not an impersonal, big, gigantic group of random facts. This is actually have human conversations with people. And the most important piece of advice before we go today that I will say is start relationships with people. There is no way that I would be able to be where I am today if it was not for just sitting down and building relationships. And I love this. First, you know who you are, identify your audience, you show up, be authentic, be positive, raise your hand. People need help, raise your hand. Be the one who said, I would love to help. And here's what I would do. There's your solution. Then you build relationships. Talk to people, just sit down. And then fostering them means following up. follow up with people, ask them how they're doing, and be relentless. If you truly believe in your product, your business, whatever it is, never give up, no matter what happens. Maybe you have to pivot. Maybe you have to evolve. You will, but never change. So at the end, we are gonna, I think maybe we have a minute for question and answers. If not, make sure that you drop us, you can definitely reach out to us. That's our email, our websites. And yes, we do offer speaking. We do talk to people about marketing. We do talk to people about coming out and saying, how do we brand? How do we grow? How do we do all the things? And we're happy with our almost 50 years combined experience at this point to help you at any time. So I'll pass that back to Jonathan.
Now our questions here, have one from Holly I'll get to in just a moment. I do want to just sort of put it out there to everyone listening as I guess really empathy, because we're all fitness professionals here for the most part. And I know that one of the difficult things with fitness and marketing to it is, as you both were really identifying, is yes, you got to really identify your avatar with a high degree of specificity. But the challenge for most fitness professionals, I think, is everybody does need what we sell. And so there's this idea that everybody needs it. But what happens is you can see it with marketing of other things, where if you really zero in on who you're marketing to, specifically, if you get popular enough, then everybody wants you anyway. So I just want to, for those maybe that are newer in the industry and you're just questioning zeroing in that specific on people, and as you were talking, the example I thought of was Peloton. If you remember the first commercials they did, they were always for a certain type of person. I'm not even going to try to identify the person, but and now you talk to anyone about buying a bike and they say something which I find head scratchingly absurd, which is that, but I can't afford a Peloton. And I said bike, I didn't. And so that, thank goodness Peloton invented the bicycle about 5 or 6 years ago. Because, apparently Wikipedia is wrong. It wasn't invented hundreds of years ago. Anyway, so that's the idea behind it, is if you zero in so specifically, once you become well known enough for that, everybody else starts wanting it anyway. So just for the maybe newer fitness professionals that are questioning, like, oh, I can't zero it in that specifically, you get popular enough, everybody's going to want you anyway. A good question here from Holly, as I mentioned, and she wants to know that when you're creating this sort of very specific avatar, what categories should we look for as we define the ideal client? Is there some kind of checklist you might recommend? She's already left, but she'll probably get the follow-up to this, so hopefully she can see it.
I think your basic demographics is where to start. So your age, socioeconomic status, marital status, education, all of those things are important to really narrow down who someone is. And then their likes and dislikes, and it can be as simple as they enjoy watching sports, they enjoy watching HGTV, they enjoy reading, what they do in their spare time, things that have nothing to do with fitness, but are part of their everyday routine.
I hate sweating, like there's I love those, it's like always one of my avatars was like the woman who hates sweating, like it's, and they could be really funny, this person hates to travel. This person doesn't like shoes, like they don't like wearing sneakers. Like it could be anything. Yeah. Super fun.
All right, well, I hope that was helpful for her, but just, so anyway, thank you both so much for your expertise. That's it for today. I want to thank all of you for attending. Thank you for giving us the gift of your time and attention. And I hope that what you learned today is going to help you zero in on what you can do, because you all have a lot of value to give the world. And the more people you reach professionally, the more you can do it. I'm going to make sort of our official close and then just turn it over to you if you have any kind of like quick quotes or takeaways. No pressure, but I'll just essentially leave it to you both to wrap up. We hope to see everyone at another MedFit Education Foundation webinar next week, the week after, or some week soon if neither of those work out for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Christine and Carly to close us out. And thanks everyone for showing up today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to my very good friend, amazing co-host and co-author and everything, Carly. Have a fantastic and amazing wedding this weekend. How about that? And for everybody else, again, this is you. This is marketing, and the strategies that stick are the things that you are going to do consistently. So if you really zero in, like we talked about, consistency is key.
Good.
And realistically, my takeaway would be to know your own value because it's so much higher than you believe.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's a wrap, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.